All right, today we are doing 5-1, points in the coordinate plane. Our objectives today are to graph and state the points in the Cartesian coordinate plane, which you are very familiar with, right? This is it. And we're going to create some scatter plots for use in analyzing the relationship between the graphed variables, so the x and the y coordinate. All right, so some vocabulary we need to get out of the way that, again, you should be familiar with. So first we have the ordered pair. It's a pair of numbers. It's always written as x comma y, describing a point in the Cartesian coordinate plane. So if we wanted to go over 2 and up 3, 1, 2, 3, we would write this as 2 comma 3 as our ordered pair. The x-axis is the horizontal number line in the plane. Notice it's here. The y-axis is the vertical number line. Notice it's labeled there. The origin is the point 0, 0, where the axes intersect. It's often labeled as O, if it is labeled. The x-coordinate is called the abscissa. It's the first coordinate of an ordered pair. So in that x and y ordered pair, the abscissa is the x. The y-coordinate is the ordinate, the y. It's the second coordinate of an ordered pair. Those two, like the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate, I expect you to get, but the abscissa and the ordinate, I won't use those in class very often, if ever. Definitely not in our regular conversation. Okay, I will use the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate. But you can have some new vocabulary today. All right, so example 1. Let's just start off with some graphing. Make sure you know what's going on there. We want to graph and label the following ordered pairs. So 2 comma 1. Remember, we always go horizontal and then we go vertical. Our first number is horizontal. So we go right 2 because it's positive and up 1 because it's positive. And we're going to label this 2 comma 1. The negative 3, 4. We're going to go left because it's negative, and then we're going to go up because it's positive. So we go negative 3, 1, 2, 3, positive 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we label this negative 3 comma 4. And our last one, it's 0, so we're actually going to stay where we are, and then we're going to go down 5. So 0 means we don't go right and we don't go left, we just stay there and we go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0, negative 5 is our label there. Okay, and then we have a little chart telling us how to plot the points. Okay, we just did that, so we can kind of skip around. Now we want to state the coordinate and name the quadrant or axis containing each of the following points. D says here, I have the wrong graph, unfortunately. I am terribly sorry. So let me put those on here. I was like, wait a minute. So D is, here is D. You'll have to add those to your graph. Again, I'm sorry. That's E. I almost wrote D again, or B actually. Okay, so this is point E. And F is here. Yes, okay. All right, so we want to state the coordinate and name the quadrant. That was one thing I didn't talk about at the beginning, was the quadrants, but it is up there. I just can't quite move my thing or get out in the way. So our quadrants from above, though, quadrant 1, and then we go counterclockwise, right? So quadrant 1 is in the top right, and then we have quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. All right, so let's list the coordinates, okay, for E. So we're right here, right? So we're coming from the origin, we're coming negative 3, because we came 3 to the left, and we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why did E before I did D? I don't really know. So I've got negative 3 comma 5. And what quadrant is E in? 1, 2, 3, or 4? It's in quadrant 2. Good. Let's go to D. All right, D is here. So from the origin, we came back. My marker's not writing. We came back 1, and we went down 2. So that is -1, -2 for our coordinate. And what is our quadrant? It's in quadrant 3. Very nice. And our last one, F. Okay, so for F, we start at the origin, and we came right 4, and we didn't go up or down. So that's 0. So it's +4, 0. And what quadrant did you put that in? Ooh, we'd have to list both quadrants here. We would say it's in 1 and 4 because it's on the line there. So we'd say 1 and 4. Great. I also have a G, but there is no G on my graph. So I don't know what happened. Who knows? It's one of those days I was apparently out of it when I was making my worksheet using the wrong sheet. Okay, so let's look at this scatter plot. That was our other thing we were going to do, is try to make some scatter plots. So a scatter plot is a graph on the Cartesian plane, but it's only using quadrant 1. Okay, and we're going to use it to summarize the relationship between two sets of numbers. Okay, a table often summarizes data from a statistical study. So we've got ordered pairs representing the data can be graphed so that a statistician can use the patterns formed by the points to determine the relationship between the variables in the study. So we're trying to determine the relationship, okay, between X and Y, or in this case, our variables are height and weight. But one's going to be graphed on the X-axis, one will be on the Y-axis. That's why we say the X and the Y, because one is dependent and one is independent. In every mathematical study and every scientific study, anytime you're collecting data, I mean, when you're watching football, okay, when you're watching basketball or any sport, there is statistical data that can be collected to try to find a relationship between those numbers. Okay, and so that's what we're going to kind of look at, is using that data to create scatter plots. All right, so example 3 says, make a scatter plot of the heights and weights of students as recorded in the following table and describe the relationship between the variables. Okay, so I've already got the chart set up for you. Okay, I have your height in inches is our X variable. Notice I'm starting at 58 here. So 58, 59, 60, I'm going up by 1. There's a little break in my graph here because I'm jumping up to 90. Okay, that's, whoops, I don't want to put those marks on there. But I'm jumping up and starting my graph at 90. And then it's 10, 110, 120, 130. So I'm going up by tens after I have my break. Because this is where, okay, the scatter plot is where I want to graph all of this height and weight comparison. So the height of one student is 64 inches, and that student weighs 130 pounds. Okay, so at 64 inches, actually I might be better off to do this sitting down. I'll get a little bit more accurate number, or scatter plot. Okay, so at 64 inches, I have 130 pounds. So I'm going to go to 64 inches and go up to 120, 130 pounds. Okay, that was my first student. Then I moved to my second student. They're 60 inches tall, 124 pounds. So 60 inches, 124, so 125, a little below the middle. 62 inches, 138 pounds. 62, 130, 140, 138. Okay, that's just how I talk to myself as I'm graphing. 58 inches, 98 pounds. So 58 inches, 98 pounds, pretty close to 100 up there. Okay, 63 inches, 159 pounds. 63 inches, 159. Okay, 61 inches, 136 pounds. 61 inches, 136. Okay, 62 inches, 142. Notice we already had a 62-inch kid who weighed 138 pounds, but that's okay. We have more than one kid who's this tall. So 62 inches and 142. All right, 60 inches, 126 inches. 60 inches, 126. Because our other 60-inch kid was 124. So they're pretty close. 59 inches, 101 pounds. 59, 101. And 62, that's another 62-inch kid, 145. 145. And our other ones were 142. So yeah, 145. Supposed to be kind of right there in the middle. I got a little high. All right, so that is our scatter plot. Okay, later we're going to do some more with our scatter plots, but right now we've made our scatter plot. And what conclusion can you make about the scatter plot? Like in general, what can you tell me about the height and the weight? Well, we could say, well, as height increases, right? So as the height increases, what happens to the weight of the students? The weight increases. As the height increases, weight increases. That's it. That's the conclusion that we can make. That's what we're looking for. Where when we looked at it in this table, we couldn't really see that. We just saw some numbers. Maybe if we put the numbers, the height in inches to see the relationship. But once we put them in the scatter plot and graph them, we're like, oh, look, like there's just a line that's going up that shows there's a direct relation. All right, that's it for today. I will see you later.